All right, everybody, welcome to the playoffs. We made it 9 weeks down, and we are in
Woohoo!
the first round of playoffs. We got the first seed CyberPunk Otters, 8-1, facing off against the 7 seed Odin's Headhunters. I am T Pity One. I'll be your chair one for this cast. We have Freaky G on chair two and Ruler of Men on the spectate. How are we feeling about this matchup, Freaky?
Looking pretty good, man. I mean, you got the top seed coming up, and it's our first quarterfinals event in the entirety of Frank's retirement home here tonight. You're gonna expect some crazy stuff, and up against Odin's Headhunters, there's some strong players on that team as well that we're gonna be looking at. And I mean, you can tell these guys had a game plan already. The bands went flying, and Kuzenbo top lock. I mean, they knew what they wanted.
Yeah, Headhunters actually have never played Cyberpunk, not at all this season, not in 9 weeks, but we flew through the bans for both sides. We got Thanatos and Susano, as well as a Ganesh for Odin's Headhunters, targeting out Barry Toppings a little bit. While for Cyberpunk Otters, they went for the Odin, Cthulhu, and Kukul Khan, kind of targeting the solo a little bit more. But if you'll notice, Headhunter's lineup doesn't look the same as it normally does. They switched their support, I'm So Thoughtful, to solo. They've got Jolly, their mid, running support. Orion, who's their normal solo and widely regarded as, one of the best solo laners in the division, going to the carry role. And then they shifted their carry tech over to mid. So, interested to see how these changes affect the way that they play.
Yeah. I mean, these are big changes on a roster, especially going into quarterfinals. It had to definitely be premeditated up to this point. And I'm sure they practiced with this with these players in these roles in mind. Uh Jolly has been a support player for a long time, so him switching back over to support should be pretty easy for him. I am a little disappointed. I was really hoping for the Orion Pax versus Small Face matchup, but unfortunately, we're not going to get that tonight. But maybe there's a really good reason that Odin's Headhunters are not bringing that matchup up to the table. Maybe Orion just is going to be a much better, is going to end up being a better carry in this situation for them. And we'll only know that for sure coming up to the actual game being played as Odin's Headhunters lock in this Fenrir Geb combination. And I really like this because of the normal dynamic that you see between Fenrir and Geb. Usually you're seeing Geb locked into a Fenrir. Wouldn't probably be the case against Cyberpunk Otters because they've already locked in what should be their support in Bacchus. But I like the coverage that they're doing with this.
Yeah, the Kuzenbo is something I'm So Thoughtful has played a lot, and I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Kuzenbo will be solo, Geb will be support.
Mhm.
We're not going to get too crazy here. Thoughtful is very comfortable on this Kuzenbo. He's played it a couple times this season. He's played it in a bunch of scrims. He's been working on it, as well as the Fenrir for Angelic Owl. Not in one of his picks we normally see. We normally see the Nemesis, we see the Awilix, we see those more mobile junglers that can get around the map a little bit faster. Fenrir's a good pick though. He's a good pick early. He puts a lot of pressure. He can apply pressure to the whichever lane he chooses. And as for Cyberpunk, getting Jacob on that Hachiman, and we're going for a Bacchus in the solo lane, the duo lane. Hachi Bacchus duo lane is going to be aggressive, especially with Jacob piloting this Hachiman. And Nike going towards solo, playing into a Kuzenbo. I know you're a solo laner yourself, so how are you kind of feeling about that Kuzenbo Nike matchup?
So even with the changes to itemization and even with uh, Gem, I can't remember the actual name, it's bugging me now, but Conduit Gem being better, Kuzumbo still just doesn't feel like the greatest solo laner around right now. He still suffers from pressure, which Nike brings. He's gonna struggle a little bit in the early games. Late game, he's gonna do what he always does if he can get there. But that's the key point, is if he can get there. So it's a matter of if Thoughtful can survive this lane, and you're up against Small Face in this lane as well, who is another person who has been argued as the best solo laner in Walkers right now. I'm pretty sure he even got the award for top solo in Walker division during the superlatives. So I mean, you're taking a pretty risky matchup, but with it being a comfort pick for I'm So Thoughtful, maybe not so risky now. It's just a matter of how it's played, man.
Yeah, and we see these bands coming through. We see two more bands going towards the jungle of Cyberpunk Otters, trying to get Barry off of a pick. Now, in my personal opinion, I I wouldn't be banning Barry. His God pool is kind of just infinite. He can kind of just play anything that he wants in the jungle. And we see two more mid bands going towards Odin's Headhunters, towards Tectonics, and We're seeing an Anubis hover, which is certainly something interesting. I know
Lock it
Orion is a
in.
huge Anubis player, so I'm gonna be real with you. This could be an Anubis ADC. He's played it against me before in a scrim, so I would not be surprised if we see Anubis go to the ADC lane. And the Medusa, another one of Tech's comfort picks. You see Tech when he plays that ADC role. We see him on Hachi, X-Ball, Medusa are kind of his top three. Well, on the other side, we see a Scylla coming out of Busta Kappa. And Busta kind of regarded as the weak link of the Cyberpunk Otters, something that Odin's Headhunters will probably look to try and punish. Scylla, though, as long as you can stay up for those first couple levels, you're going to be pumping damage by the end of the game.
This is a very interesting thing that we're seeing here. And I suppose if you're going to pull out something crazy, game one of the first game of playoffs is probably where you're going to see the most likely point whenever you see these crazy compositions. Anubis has already been in that spot. He's always been. He's never been the best pick. He's never been. Well, for a while there, he might have been actually the worst pick. But at the moment, I think he sits somewhere just below the middle of the pack. But putting him in duo lane has its perks. For one, Jacob Frosto may not be ready for this matchup. That's a very big bonus. If Jacob is not aware of what's going on and what matchup he's going to be getting or ready for said matchup, he could just straight up lose it. Now the duo lane has the oh, okay. So it just come to my attention here that Pax and Tech have switched roles. So Tech is playing ADC in this game, and Orion is going to be going to mid lane. So that means that this is most likely an Anubis mid, considering that Medusa is his main character. I mean, that kind of goes to that just kind of that's just known. So back to my original point. Still, though, Anubis hasn't really been seen in regular play. Maybe every now and again in a scrim, but now Busta Kappa has to play a matchup that he's likely not played in a while. There's some nuance to this that definitely works in Orion Pax's favor. He just has to make it work. And that's the key factor once again. Just like in solo lane, it's the same problem in mid. He has to make it work.
Yeah, and we look at these matchups, and it looks like Odin's Headhunters plan is kind of clear. They kind of want to just win this game before it gets going. The Fenrir pick doesn't scream late game presence. It screams early game pressure. Medusa, early game pressure. Anubis, compared to Asilla, early game pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's gonna kind of just be their avenue. They're gonna try and snowball this game and get to a point where, despite Cyberpunk, showing us all season how good in the team fights, how good in the late game team fights they are, and that they can fight back from deficits, they're going to try to make that deficit insurmountable. And I'm looking for packs to be super aggressive in this mid lane, lots of rotations, lots of stuff like that. But Freaky, I'm going to do it to you. I do it to every chair two I have. I'm going to put you on the spot. Game one of the Frank's Retirement Home Season 3 playoffs. You taking the number one seed or you taking the number seven seed?
Man, I love what Odin's Headhunters are trying to do to a degree. They're trying to bring this odd sort of you haven't seen this yet sort of style, and it's interesting to say the least. It could throw Cyberpunk Otters off their game, but just the same, Cyberpunk Otters haven't ever really been thrown off their game. They've lost one game in the regular season, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it was to Baba's Kitchen, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right,
Yeah,
Pity?
they lost. They dropped the set to Bob's Kitchen. They lost
Yeah, they
games to
just
Ice Age.
they lost games to
Shout out.
Ice Age and lost sets to a set entirely to Baba's Kitchen. And I mean Baba's Kitchen makes sense though. It's the they've been told it's called the best team fighting team in the division. So makes sense that they'd lose to a team like that. But to answer your question finally, I'm still leaning on Cyberpunk Otters. There's just no reason for them to suddenly fall off in this game.
Yeah, we've seen team comps like this before. Designed to throw them off, come out early, and just hit them in the throat while they're not expecting it.
What are we seeing?
We've seen it. We've seen it before, and it hasn't worked before. That late game team fight that they have is little bit just too good. And I think that while the Anubis is going to be good early, I think later game it's just going to get punished over and over with the lack of mobility by, Barry's going to make sure he's on him. Smallface will make sure he gets onto him. As well as the Medusa has that good AoE ult that she can use, but once again, the dash can be interrupted. All that stuff can just kind of stop her from getting out. But getting into these builds, I noticed a difference we do see in the War Flag on Bacchus versus the Benevolence coming out on Geb.
Yeah.
While in the ADCs we see Mannequins versus Leather Cow. Looking at these builds so far, what are you kind of looking at as anything that's striking you?
The mannequins pickup, I'd have to say, is pretty interesting, but Medusa definitely gets some pressure and stability off of that dot damage. Really helps with their clear. Uh, you could always go Bluestone, I suppose, but if you're playing ADC Medusa, you don't really want to go Bluestone. You don't want to reduce your auto attack presence as an actual carry to try and win that ability pressure. Meanwhile, the you were talking about goodness, I lost track. The Guardian pickups.
Yeah.
Jolly's pickup here makes a lot more sense than I think a lot of people are expecting it to, or maybe are able to make sense of, just because there's a lot of dive on the Cyberpunk Otters draft, and if he builds it into compassion or if he builds it into benevolence, depending on whatever he's feeling, he could very well save his backline or even his jungle, depending on where he's positioned in those team fights. So I don't hate the pickup, but he's gonna have to suffer through a pretty hard early game, especially with the pressure that's gonna be against them in that lane.
Yeah, the Bacchus does provide one thing, and it is pressure, as we see Erling Shen, Barry Toppings looking for an early gank on the duo lane. This is a strategy he's shown a couple times, but not going to throw off Owl. Angelic Owl is just going to follow him right away. And this matchup, I think Defender wins pretty early, but it looked like he is on the chase. And it looks like Owl is on the back foot. That Mannequin Scepter on the Erlang is going to help him win that auto trade. But Medusa is over to help Tech, looking for the assist for his jungler. And over in the solo lane, we see Thoughtful getting bullied out by this Nike. Once again,
Yeah.
you were talking about the Kuzenbo pick, and it is a comfort pick, but you're playing against, I wouldn't say arguably, probably the best solo laner in the Walker division.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
kind of rough for Thoughtful so far.
rough is a definition, I suppose. It's going to be hard. It's going to be terrible for Thoughtful. I mean, he's already knocked down so low, his health bar is turning red on the left side of the screen there, and it's only 2.5 minutes in. And it's not even just a small face thing. He picks Kuzumbo, who, as I've said already, just is not doing very good in the solo lane, even with itemization favoring him. And to add on to it, he struggles against sustain and he struggles against pressure. Well, Nike has kind of both of those. Once that ultimate gets online, Nike will have some sustain, and Warrior Zach's giving him even more, as well as Nike's just going to out pressure him. He's going to be able to out clear those waves. Smallface will just constantly be able to keep those waves pushed under tower, meaning Thoughtful will fall behind for sure in gold at the very least. XP maybe not if he's able to keep up with his buff timers and at least take that farm under tower.
Yeah, and we saw the ultimate expended from Orion Pax, looking to get the early kill onto Scylla. Able to dash away is Busta Kappa, as we see I'm a Monster coming down, looking for the kill, misses. Barry trying to set up the mid to get a quick kill, but Fenrir is there. Owl leaps in, looking for Scylla. Erlang manages to pull him off and stop, but both junglers still level 4. Not really going to be doing too much in those fights yet.
Yeah, that's disappointing. If Fenrir has ult there, I definitely think we see Busta Kappa die. Maybe even at least get beads for sure. But I think a death even after beads was likely there. But we're just gonna keep seeing something similar in this game. Odin's Headhunters did manage to draft good early bridges. Fenrir being one of the best early bridges, I'd have to say. Meanwhile, over in the solo lane, we're seeing actually the coin get flipped on its head. Smaller face falling kind of low.
It does have that TP advantage, going to just be able to back and TP back in. But one thing I do notice, and something I've seen with a lot of, players at this division, we see a sentry ward and a regular ward at 4 minutes already from the mid laner. As hold up on that, we see Angelic Owl goes up into the ultimate, grabs the Bacchus, looking for the kill. And they're going to grab first blood in the first game of playoffs. Goes to Angelic Owl of Odin's Headhunters, managing to pick up the kill onto Titus the Reaper. But in response, here comes the kill onto Medusa from Barry Topping. The taunts in, grabs a double kill. And that is going to be an instant response from the Cyberpunk Otters. Barry Toppings making his way over, being super mobile on that Erlang, and manages to pick up both duo laners. While on the other side, the Kuzenbo is low, and Smallface was thinking about doing a dive not able to finish that kill up, but looking really good from CyberPunk in response to losing their the first blood, the first blood
Yeah.
bounty. And once again, we're seeing Orion just kind of bullying the sellout. One thing
Oh.
yep, thoughtful. You cannot step up that close. Small face picks up the solo kill on the Kuzenbo of Odin's Headhunters. But one thing I do notice about this Scylla is she went for Sands of Time over the Conduit gem. How do we feel about that?
I don't feel poorly about it at all. I think that's a great decision. You just want those cooldowns up. I don't want to see I don't want to see the new build style that we've been seeing where they're adding that item in. Sphinx's bobble. I do not want to see a Sphinx's bobble, even if she does get power from her passive. I'd rather her still continue to build upon that power. If 40% CDR wouldn't kill me if we see a Chronos pendant in there at some point, but I do not want to see a Sphinx's bobble in this build. I don't think it'd be a good idea. That late game power that you'd lose off of any other item would just be honestly too much. But you going all the way back to that first blood that you were talking about. I think that berry toppings makes such a great rotation there to kind of clean that one up and fix it. But my biggest problem with that entire engagement, uh, they Jolly and Tech both had ultimate up and didn't burn it, and that's probably the reason they don't survive that encounter. But we're gonna see if maybe that comes back to bite them or not.
Yeah, we did see a gank come over in the solo lane, picking up another kill on the I'm So Thoughtful berry toppings. Looking for it. We see Fenrir grabs the Bacchus once again,
No.
but he might be just a little bit too tanky for you as we see the rotation from mid come out from Orion Pax. But, you know, you're kind of just grabbing the wrong person. You're looking for, trying to get that Hachi, trying to grab the beads, trying to grab the mounted archery. But, you know, Bacchus at full health isn't really going to get shredded as
I
easily as he was last time.
I think that that wasn't necessarily the wrong target. Maybe just a little misplayed. If you didn't notice, Angelical didn't stop moving once the abilities got placed on the floor. Didn't give his carries time to line up. Instead, he kept moving backwards, trying to pull him further away. At this point in the game, with Titus only having uh, War Flag, and at the time he had 3 stacks on Prophetic, likely all magical. I think that may have just been a misplay more than anything. They absolutely could have killed Titus there. It's a shame it didn't go their way.
Yeah, and we see those are opportunities that if you're wanting to dethrone Cyberpunk, that if you're wanting to, take advantage, you're gonna need to capitalize. As we see Fenrir forced to blink out to try and get away from the chase of berry toppings. He is 3-0, 7 minutes in, looking pretty good so far. But on the other side, we see I'm So Thoughtful once again. Looks like he's just living on below half his health against Smallface, just getting beat up. And the early game hasn't been exactly what Odin's Headhunters were hoping for, but it hasn't been bad. It's not huge. It's a 1,500 gold lead, mainly all going to be made up in that solo lane. As we see the ultimate come out of Nike and looking for the kill, not managing to get it. I'm So Thoughtful goods out on about 30 HP, managing to survive. And I honestly think he could have just dove that and gotten it. Oh, he's looking for it right now. Looking for the jump in, grabs the kill. Smallface with his second of the game, but Fenrir is there to clean up. Owl going to pick up the return kill onto Smallface, grab his second of the game. And like you said in the draft, you didn't like the Kuzenbo solo pick, and so far Smallface has proven you right. 0-3-1 in 8 minutes for I'm So Thoughtful.
Yeah,
But
I
once again, you're picking Kuzenbo. He has good as a second support. He can be your frontliner and still have a little bit of peelability for your backline. But there are also other gods that are just better that can do the same exact thing.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's like you just said, he's not keeping up in that lane, and he never will. Wow, what quick reactions from Al. Just turn that around, but now it's turning on to him. Smallface is here, and then Erlang Shin just trying to do his damage as fast as possible, but Thoughtful will pick that kill up for
What
his
a
jungler.
play by the Fenrir, managing to hold him off long enough to let Kuzenbo get back, grab his kill, get that shutdown onto the Erlang Shen. Berry Toppings falls for the first time. And speaking of fallen, we see Axe might be looking for something over in this left lane, but sees Titus there. The Bacchus is there, going to be able to stop the rotation from the mid laner. We do see a lot of ward coverage coming out for CyberPunk as the ultimate dropped by Bacchus onto the Medusa, and mounted archery comes out from Jacob Frost, gonna manage to pick up the kill onto Tech. And we do already see XP leads coming out for solo, jungle, and ADC of
Yeah.
CyberPunk Otters. Odin's Headhunters only having the advantage in that mid lane. Kind of what we said, the Anubis just out clears early Scylla. Not going to be much you can do if you're Busta Kappa. But if you're
Yeah.
Odin's Headhunters, you're already down about 1,000 gold. What are you kind of looking to? Who are you looking to? What are you looking to kind of get this game a little bit in your favor?
Well, it's pretty obvious. It's Orion Pax. He's a level up in the mid, and that's what I was going to mention. Is he really kind of surprises me with this pick, in not just the pick itself, but mainly the fact that we haven't seen him do as much as he should be doing. Still falling very low, but will not be getting dead yet. Might fall here soon.
Erling shield comes out. I am a monster misses, and Jolly manages to pick up the kill on the Busta, trading out mid laners. You know, that's unfortunate on the I'm a monster miss, because if you get that, then I don't think either of you guys die, or either of you guys. I don't think that
So,
Busta Kappa falls if he hits that ultimate.
but what I was saying is Orion Pax picks this interesting interesting mid pick, and what should have happened is, with all this pressure he's going to have over a Scylla, level 1 through 8, level 1 through 9, however long it takes Scylla to get online these days. I don't know. I don't keep up that well with Scylla. Uh, Realistically, he should have been doing a lot more rotating and making a lot more presence in other lanes in that early level, because he clears faster, he clears side camps faster, he just farms better at those early stages. He could have put his pressure anywhere else on the map, and he probably would have made his entire team more effective in this game. But rather, he just finds himself unable to make meaningful rotations, and it costs him, or well, it costs his team. It doesn't necessarily cost him. It may end up costing him, considering he's now at level with his lane opposition at this point. We'll see if it ends up biting him, because I feel like Odin's Headhunters needed to make this an early game sort of game in order to win this one out. If you're going to go with a crazy team comp in your game one to try and throw off the enemy, it's got to actually work, and you've got to use it to its strengths, and I just haven't seen that yet.
And we see the rotation coming in from the Hachiman. Jacob Frost looking to grab those oracles, maybe looking for a Gold Fury call from CyberPunk Otters. But like you said, we see a 3-level lead coming out in that duo lane. We see a level in the solo, and the Gold Fury is being looked at by CyberPunk, and it looks like it is being pulled. Not much you can do if you're Tectonic. It looks like he's going to try to contest. All of Odin's Headhunters are starting to swarm. We see Pax coming in, pinged out, saw in the ward, and like we said with the Anubis, he is just gone. Gonna be able to get the Bacchus rid of. No, I'm a monster comes down, and Owl looking to try and get something going. Not really looking like anything's gonna be going well for Odin's Headhunters, as Small Face is here. Match the rotation is I'm so thoughtful, but it looks like Tech might just fall on this Medusa. All she needs is one more button. Smallface not going to be able to manage to grab the kill onto Tech, gets him low enough, forcing him to back, but gold is just going to be an instant call from CyberPunk Otters. And like we said with the Anubis pick, just going to get jumped on. And that's just what happened. He's not really much you can do other than go up in the ult, try and do as much damage as you can before you end up falling. But that's going to be first Gold Fury of the playoffs going to CyberPunk Otters, as well as a 3K gold lead.
It's a little bit more than just getting jumped on there. Honestly, it's just bad positioning. Like, you see him come around the right side of that Gold Fury pit, trying to make a play for his team on a pick that absolutely can make a play. But if you're going to show up like that with 4 people on that side ready to take a 1v4, you better at least communicate with your team on that one. Say, hey guys, I'm going to try this out. I want y'all to be ready to bail me out. And Jolly was the only one that was close enough to bail him out, and I don't think the rest of the team got a hint of what was going on there. So he just gets turned on and takes the spill, and it's all for naught as well, because he ends up dying. You can't make plays like that as a solo agent in that role necessarily. You've got to really try, at least not on Anubis. That's tough.
Yeah, and that's just kind of what we had talked about. Just not really, he got pinged immediately. The ward coverage from CyberPunk was really good. As we see the ultimate comes out of Tech, the dash in from the Hachiman, and Jacob Frost is losing this fight, looking like Tech might want to push the advantage a little bit more, not really able to. And CyberPunk takes the Pyro, and
Yeah.
picked up by Busta on the Scylla. It's grabbed which is questionable. But the ultimate comes out of Orion Pax. They're looking for the Bacchus. They're going to be able to grab Titus. Orion picks up his first kill in this playoffs, and a great ultimate by Jolly, managing to hold down Titus. Questionable jump in. As we see the blink come out of Fenrir, jumps in, goes up into the ultimate, looking for the Hachiman, gets the beads out of him, but Tech is there. They're looking for the kill. Mounted archery comes out. Tech manages to grab the kill onto Jacob Frost. Good gank from the Fenrir, and that's going to be a quick 2 kills going over to Odin's Headhunters. Great move on the duo lane. The blink used out of Fenrir forces the beads, and the ult still grabs the kill, though.
Yeah, that's a smart play from Odin's Headhunters, especially whenever Titus is down in the grayscale at that moment. Like you said, very questionable jump in from Titus the Reaper. And I think Angelical just kind of took the best of that opportunity. Good kill from Barry Toppings, transferring it back over 6-1. He's back on another killing spree again after dying after 3 kills. So time to try and slow this one down. I think we need to try and slow this guy down. He's getting a little bit out there again. He's up a level. And Erlong Shin in the late game, definitely, especially with the Bruiser meta, feeling a little bit stronger than Fenrir, especially in terms of composition.
And we do see him going that Shogun's third item. But I just want to say, Owl was on about a quarter health after that engagement and decided to go and check on their purple buff, the other team's purple buff. And he got caught over a ward. Barry, being the mobile god Erlang is, came right over, punished him for it. Those are the mistakes that you can't make if you're hoping to take down CyberPunk Otters. But you got your ADC right back in the game. You went from 3-level lead down to 1. And Tech's he's playing super aggressive on this Medusa pick as we see Jolly getting a little bit caught out. He's not really going to do anything to the game. Just shields himself and he's fine. Scylla getting low, dashes away. The ultimate comes out from Anubis, but Smallface makes the rotation over to mid lane, managing to push Orion off of her mid laner. And we're just seeing fight after fight after fight as Barry Toppings looking for something. Fenrir with the brutalized, looking for it, goes up into the ultimate, looking to find the Erlang Shen, and it looks like Erlang might just be dead. Kuzenbo's there. Owl picks up his third. Barry Toppings gets shut down once again. They might have overextended. Smallface comes by, pushes them all back, and Odin's Headhunter's back away, but it looks like Hachiman and Jacob Frost might have a party coming. We see the ultimate expended, mounted archery down, and it looks like there might be a tower dive opportunity as we see Kuzenbo dive in there. I'm So Thoughtful looking for something, but his Fenrir is forced out, and in return, I'm So Thoughtful is just going to die to Smallface and Jacob. Unsuccessful dive there as Anubis looks like he might go down to the I'm a Monster, not going to. Brutalize comes in, and Tech picks up the kill onto Busta Kappa, looking for a full retreat for his Odin's Headhunters. Titus picks up Owl, and now Tech is on the retreat, gonna fall to the onslaught of CyberPunk Otters, and once again, a fight that looked so good for Odin's Headhunters turns into a CyberPunk Otters Gold Fury pull.
Yeah, that's a really good job from CyberPunk Otters. Keep it patient, punish Thoughtful for his positioning there. Al tries to come in and be a hero for his team. Not necessarily a hero for his team, actually. I'm going to rephrase that. He comes in and tries to save a bad fight. It ends up being the piece that falls with the rest of his team instead. Just a little, not even misplayed either. Busta Kappa does go down, and that makes it another 2-for-3 trade instead of at least a 1-for-3 trade, because Barry Toppings was still dead while that fight was going on, no matter how long it went. So at least a decent trade, but you lost another Gold Fury for it, and that gold lead just keeps spiraling out of Odin's Headhunter's hands. They're going to try and make a play on Pyromancer. I think it's a really good idea if they can make this play, but with Scylla on the map, ultimate almost off of cooldown, they've really got to pay attention to this one.
Yeah, and it is warded by CyberPunk. They knew they were there. We do see something interesting, and I could be wrong because I'm not a Fenrir player, but Stone of Binding on Fenrir is something.
It's standard.
Interesting. Is it really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. All right, well, never mind then. And we see Erlang getting aggressive. The ultimate dropped from Geb, and Erlang is just looking for this Anubis as Pax falls to Barry Toppings, gets taken down. But on the backside, we see the grab come out onto the Scylla. They're looking for Busta Kappa. Kuzenbo throws the Nene, manages to pick it up. Thoughtful picks up another kill, 2 and 4 for him, and the Defender's just getting beat up by the group of the CyberPunk Otters, and now it's just Geb and Kuzumbo, the two Guardians looking to try and continue this fight. Not that they're looking to get away. Jolly
And
Green
there's
on
no
the run, gonna
continuing.
get knocked up by not Jolly Green, by Smallface, going to fall, and it looks like Bach is doing a lot of damage. They're looking for I'm So Thoughtful, looking to get 4, not going to be able to. Titus the Reaper forced to jump out, and they all retreat. And it looks like this might be a Pyromancer call, maybe a Big Fire call, as our spectator
It's
wants
definitely
wants them
fire.
to go to. And looks like the call will be Big Fires. 3
Yeah.
are down, 4 Odin's Headhunters, and I don't know if the Anubis gets here.
You definitely pull this. You definitely pull this here. I mean, look at Erlong's build. He's over there helping DPS with Hachiman. He's got so much attack speed, so much prot shred. It'll be gone before Anubis even thinks about it, which he doesn't even realize that's going on. He's actually, I think he just now hears the auto attacks on there. By the time he gets there, they'll be ready to turn on him anyways. There's that dead. Great job from CyberPunk Otters. Anubis looking like he's going to try to find something, but only ends up finding the whole team.
It looks like he's about to find a death as the Beats Aegis does come out from Orion Pax. Once again, a little bit too aggressive from the Anubis, and now they're pulling the Pyromancer, managed to get that. This game is spiraling in favor of the CyberPunk Otters. 7,500 on the gold lead, and I'm So Thoughtful. Looks like they want a little bit of turtle on the menu if you're the CyberPunk Otters, and he takes off in the opposite direction. And looks good early, looked like they were keeping it a little bit even, but CyberPunk showing why they're the top team in this division, starting to pull away in this game 1.
Yeah, it's just been absolute map control on their part. They've been all over the place. They've made really good counter engagements, counter ganks, have just made their presence known on every point of the map as well. Smallface did some pretty good early rotations, which allowed him to continue to build on his item lead, which not very big in all like retrospect to things, but considering he's out farming his opponent in the late game as well, I'm sure he's not too concerned with how this is going to keep going on. And as long as he keeps zoning and fighting in these team fights the way that he has, I don't think we're going to see him get slowed down. Same thing goes for the jungle on CyberPunk Otters. This guy's been a menace. Got that kin size built into their kin size. He does have kin size. He's also got that mannequin scepter upgraded into a mannequin base, so even more dot damage just to go into these fights with. With 2 people on the left side not realizing the rotation coming their way, this could spell disaster for Odin's Headhunters.
Yeah, Jolly hits the Scylla onto his Medusa, looking for it, manages to stop, and there's a 4-man dive going on, looking for Tectonics. Bacchus is in. I Am a Monster connects for Busta Kappa, first one of the game, picks up the kill on the Jolly Green, and Owl picks up the Bacchus, looking to grab that kill back on Titus. Trades 1 for 1, supports are dead. It looks like Smallface wants the kill, diving. The ultimate does come out for the Nike, and not managed to grab the kill, but Orion Pax falls on the backside. There it goes. Smallface picks up Tectonics, and this could just be an end call for CyberPunk Otters. They have 4 up. Down goes that Phoenix, and Owl trying to do anything that he can, but not much that you're going to do against 4 strong for CyberPunk as they're pushing into this Titan room. Maybe looking for the end of game 1. Not going to. Going to back up. Look for this T2 tower in mid. Probably a smart call, a little bit safer. You know, you got some low health bars on the side.
Absolutely respect
that call. Primal Fury up, and we see Owl picks up the kill on the Barry Toppings, manages to shut down the CyberPunk Otters jungler once again, and good defense, question mark, from Odin's Headhunters. I guess they stopped him from winning, stopped him from grabbing that T2. Yeah, Ruler says no, but Owl is looking for more, and Odin's Headhunters is getting a little aggressive. They used to have a full health near Hachiman in the back, just pounding those autos into you, going that full pen build, so Gebshield not really going to stop them, but Owl forced up into the ultimate to get away, and if you're Headhunters, you just need to take your win and back off. You're not going to win in 3v4 against CyberPunk Otters.
Yeah, that's not the fight you want to take, especially after you at least were able to defend your tier 2 tower in mid. I guess if you could call it that. It didn't really look like CyberPunk Otters were really trying for it after they realized that they were coming for them. And Barry Toppings was a good target to pick up, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, at this point, it's kind of too late to stop him. You don't really need to be going in to these fights like that anyways. Get him off the tower. Don't press out so much, or otherwise you're just going to end up trading yourself like Angelical did. Makes that kill that he gets almost not even worth it if not for the massive difference in kills and maybe even the shutdown. I'm not sure if there was a shutdown applied to him. I'm going to keep up.
I think it was a 4 kill shutdown.
maybe. But
Yeah,
either way, it's still Odin's Headhunters. This game went in the reverse of how it should have went. Odin's Headhunters wanted to win this game at least in the first 25 minutes. They didn't necessarily have the composition to do it, but with an Anubis and a Medusa and your side lanes having your mid and your left lane having most of the pressure, you could have done it, but they didn't do it. And now they're stuck in this position where the enemy team, CyberPunk Otters, are the ones in control.
oh man, they baited Owl in, jumps in, forced into the ult to get away, and Cyberpunk pick up another another Pyromancer. They're forced to blink to get away from the proximity ward, and I just want to point this out just to poke a little bit of fun to Jolly. He still hasn't upgraded his starter, and he's level 18. Just pointing that one
Yeah.
out for the group for the squad. But one pick that I think there's a good idea behind it. It's a comfort pick. I don't know about the Anubis. As not he you can tell he knows how to play Anubis because he's hitting the wraps, he's using the abilities in the correct order, but the positioning just isn't really there from the mid laner. He made a couple decent rotations early, but just getting caught out in these team fights a lot. And Cyberpunk's going to pick up the second Fire Giant of the game. And with this one, it looks like they might want to try and end the game as I'm So Thoughtful gets caught out again, falls
Yeah.
to Jacob Frost, and CPO is on a hard march down that right jungle looking for that mid T2. And Pax is up at the Oracles. They're doing that.
Yeah, he's just trying to get some late game farm, trying to get some gold in his pocket at the very least, maybe trying to upgrade that starter, but it looks like it's too little too late as they come diving into this Phoenix here. Only one tier 2 left means it's not very tanky. Gonna pull the Nike back into the throne room. Probably not who you want back there though.
Unfortunately, Nike just a little bit too tanky, especially with that Sentinels of Zeus coming out. And
Oh no.
oh, Fender is dead. An Angelic Owl falls to Barry Toppings, picking up his 11th of the game, 11-3, and they are pushing for this Titan, looking to end the game. That Phoenix just came back up, so they're gonna take that real quick, back up, and looks like that's the end of their end call. They decided to back up. Uh, no health bars, I
Absolutely.
understand it, but I
Nah.
definitely feel like they could have ended there.
This is quarterfinals, baby. You got to make the safer calls more often than you should the risky ones, and that is absolutely a great call from CyberPunk Otters. Get the middle Phoenix, try and get some kills. If we get more than a couple, if we get two, we'll back off. Maybe get that left Phoenix when it respawns. If we get three, maybe then it's an end call. But they definitely make the right call not to just go all in on an end call there. They need to play it safe. One mistake from them, and Odin's Headhunters can just walk right back in this game. And even with all those starter upgrades and all the gold in their pockets, you still want to make the safer call in these situations. You want to win this game one because that's where the momentum's going to come from. You want to be able to go into game two with the lead because, you get two chances and it's over. So CPO backing off there, maybe not the great call to make, but it's the safe call, and that's what keeps them in this game for sure.
Yeah, and they're marching down that right lane, looking to take the T2 tower. I will say, how do we feel about Crimson Claws on the Erlang Shen? I know Ruler
Love
was
it.
pointing it out, hovering it for a while, so he wanted us to talk about it.
It's definitely a really strong item on him. He already gets lifesteal off of his one since the change to his abilities. He's getting more attack speed, and 50 power is also just fantastic. It feels really good on an Erlong. Right side defense doesn't look very good. Hachi falling low at least, though.
Junior grabs the Hachi, and it looks like Jacob Frost might just
Oh no!
fall. His team is going to save, and Barry Toppings picks up a double kill, picks up I'm So Thoughtful and Angelic Owl.
It's
Jacob going to
over.
pick up Jolly, and that is just looking like the end of the game unless we see a nasty Anubis ult and Medusa ult come out. Tectonics and Orion Pax back to defend. Medusa ult comes out, and out comes the kill from Tech. Manages to pick up Barry Toppings for his fourth, but the game is just over. And that is going to be the first win of the playoffs going to the number one seed CyberPunk Otters. And honestly, a game that looked close for a little bit, but they just looked
Mm,
better in every team fight. The Anubis pick got caught out a lot. I didn't hate the Fenrir. It just felt like you want to get going with Fenrir early, and it wasn't.
yeah.
It didn't happen.
That's exactly what the problem was. They went for a very off meta composition, which doesn't mean bad. It just means not what's being played right now, and that can work in your favor. Problem is, it didn't get used properly. They needed to be a little bit more aggressive with their jungle and mid pick, but Pax opted to farm against a god that absolutely loves to farm. Fenrir didn't go to a lane early enough and get pressure instead. It took 4 minutes for first blood. When there's a Fenrir on the map, that shouldn't be the case, and unfortunately, that's just how it went for them. Um, I'm really hoping that Odin's Headhunters clean this game up or clean this one up for next game, because if this is what they're bringing to game 2 as well, it's going to be a very quick 2-0 from CyberPunk Otters.
Yeah, and I think I'm looking to see them return to their normal lineup. I think that while Jolly isn't the strongest mid, him and Busta can go back and forth, especially if he gets a comfort pick. But maybe this is just a fan in me that I want to see the Orion Pax versus Small Face matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they go back to their normal lineup, we might see something a little bit more, you know, normal from what we're used to seeing from Odin's Headhunters. They didn't look bad, but I think that moving into game 2, they need to maybe go back to what has worked for them previously.
Yeah.
And with that, we will take a small break and we will be back with you for game 2 of the first playoff set of Frank's Retirement Home Season 3. All right, everyone, we are back with game two. CyberPunk Otters, the 1 seed, facing off against Odin's Headhunters, the 7 seed. CyberPunk took that game one in quite dominant fashion, quite usually what we're used to seeing from CyberPunk. Any things that we could look at bands picks change up in game two, in your opinion, Freaky?
The bands are fine, but we need to change these picks for sure. I don't think anything that the Odin's Headhunters brought to the table were the right idea simply because it didn't work. If that composition works out for them, it's a phenomenal job on their part, and they come out on top, and they're the 1,000 IQ team right now. But unfortunately, they're not. Instead, they look the fools, and that's something that they've got to change now. You got to go into this next game at a 1 game deficit, and it's a best of three. So trying to win 2 games in a row now against Cyberpunk Otter, tough call.
And we do see the Kuzenbo locked in up top once again. The
Mm.
Charybdis being hovered for Cyberpunk Otters. We saw in the only set that they've lost this season, Jacob pulled the Charybdis out both games. So I wonder if he's looking to get a little bit of redemption on Shardy B, Charybdis, and nope, he's gonna pick his main god, the Danza. Jacob's Danza is quite terrifying. We've seen him pull it out many times before. It's his main god. So once again, going to that Kuzenbo. What are your thoughts on that?
Hate it. I really do. It just didn't do what it was supposed to. It came in every now and again, picked up a couple kills in that game, got some assists for his team, even peeled some people out towards the middle and late game, but it didn't do what it was supposed to do, which was be a backline disruptor in the enemy team. He was unable to perform in that situation. Mainly not just entirely on his back though. His team was falling apart around him, so it's not all on I'm so thoughtful there. But I would rather see him if he's going to play a guardian, especially. I would rather see him play something that's not banned away. Jing ends up if he plays that. Sobek's around. Like, there's plenty of guardians that have way more pressure. It can do better. But he goes for this Kuzenbo. If he's comfortable on it, maybe keep him comfortable. But I'm not liking it.
Yeah, I would agree with what your sentiments are. We see the Donzaburo Kepri on one side versus Kuzenbo Alquang on the other. Alquang is certainly interesting, and normally you think of him as a jungler, but if this is the Alquang I think it is, you're probably going to see Pax transitioning back over to solo. He went, I believe it was 16-3 in week 9 on this Alquang. So definitely a comfort pick, and we see the Agni locked into mid. So kind
Ow.
of don't know where these Odin's Headhunters gods are going other than the Agni. Kuzenbo has flex potential, the Kwang has flex potential, and Charybdis Hover once again has me questioning the Cyberpunk team. We see Don Zaburo and Kepri locked in. Kepri, one of Titus's most played gods. He's kind of gotten a Maui in there now, but
Mhm.
before it was a Kepri and Ganesh all season. Those were his go-tos. I know they're hovering Charybdis right now. What are your thoughts on the Alquang Agni from Odin's Headhunters in response to Donza Kepri?
Well, first thing first, Agni third pick or yeah, Agni in third slot for Odin's Headhunters seems a bit criminal. But with the way that that game went, I feel like the Cyberpunk Otters are confident, and maybe they've practiced enough against this type of pick that they know how to deal with it. It's not necessarily a hard pick to deal with either. What I do find even more interesting, as you pointed out, Al Kwong gets picked, and they pick Kepri into that. That's a little odd. I'm not gonna lie. Oh no, excuse me. I got the order mixed up. Kepri first. So Al Kwong response. Never mind, retract my statement. Kepri is a strong pick in most situations, but you've got Al Kwong up, and there were other gods with executes on the table that were still available, mainly the Achilles. I think that was actually the only one. So, little weird to pick it in second spot, but if it's something he's comfortable on, again, we can argue comfort for sure in most situations, and maybe he'll still be able to do something with it if he pays attention to that Al Kwong ult, and if it's on cooldown or not, he could very well save somebody's life.
Yeah, and speaking of comfort, we see the Chang'e come out for Cyberpunk going towards Busta Kappa. One of his signature picks, he's pulled it out many times before. Pulled it out against us. It was very annoying to play against. As for bans moving into this second phase of bans, Cyberpunk targeting Tectonics, looking for the Hachiman and the Medusa. I believe those are his two most played gods this season.
Hmm.
While Odin's Headhunters once again going more towards those jungle bands, we see the Thor. I wouldn't be surprised to see an Erlang in this last slot, but once again, I echoed this sentiment earlier. I feel like you're wasting bans against Barry Toppings. The dude can play pretty much every assassin and shown he can play warriors in the jungle too. I just think there are different ways you can take these bans.
Maybe there's definitely some different routes that they could go. I don't necessarily hate the idea of banning jungles, even if it's against Barry Toppings, who has quite the pool to pick from. But you definitely don't want to give him something really strong like the Thor pick, or maybe even letting him go back to that Erlong, which they do not let him do. So it's going to be a completely different pick from him this game around. They did leave that a Wheelix open though, so if that's something he's looking to go to, it's a possibility. But with the current draft from Cyberpunk Otters, I highly doubt it.
Yeah, we see the Bologna locked in and the insta-lock Nike in response. So now I'm just confused because I guess Alquang is going to be going into the jungle, Nike in that solo lane. Orion packs a Nike player if he goes in that. That's his main god, I believe. And a pick we haven't seen yet this season from Tectonics pulls out the Heimdall. Um,
Hmm.
Heimdall into Danza is certainly something. What are your thoughts on that matchup specifically? And what are your thoughts just honestly on Heimdall overall? Not a pick you normally see very often in walkers.
No, it's not. And for many good reasons, but also maybe not some so good reasons. Heimdall into Donza is a pretty interesting matchup. Donza mm, might have a little bit of tough time in the early game. And if it since Kuzenbo's locked in, that means this is a Kuzenbo support most likely. I don't think we're going to see Nike going over to that support role. But it's a matchup that I really couldn't give you much information on. But Heimdall as a whole, that on the other hand, it screams safety. If Tech has nothing else to fall back to, they take away his Medusa and his Hachiman. He's got to fall back onto something. Heimdall is a very safe pick. Oh, it's a oh okay.
Oh,
Orion ADC. So Orion's going to ADC, and this is going to be a Heimdall ADC for or for Orion. So still safe pick, strong pick as well. I think Heimdall may be a little undervalued, but I think you probably want to talk about this Serta pick a little bit.
yeah, I saw it locked in. I got excited. Um, so if this is Surtur jungle, it's about to go hard. If it's Surtur solo, Surtur is like Small Face's main. So
Mhm.
so we could see a big game coming out of the solo laner of Cyberpunk. Just wherever they decide to go with it, the Bologna in the jungle or solo, the Surtur in solo or jungle. I'm intrigued by the Cyberpunk lineup. I'm
Yeah.
intrigued by the Nike pick. I've never seen Thoughtful play a warrior, so and Orion's not normally an ADC player. Um, kind of excited to see where this goes. I've never seen Owl play Kwang before, so we're bringing out all the new picks for potentially the last game of the OHH season. But I'm gonna just lead it off to you. Going into this game two, what are we thinking? Who are we leaning towards? What are we liking about both teams?
I mean, after what we saw, I'm still leaning on Cyberpunk Otters. If this is a Surtur solo Bologna jungle, it just keeps him on a it keeps Berry Toppings on a much more similar pick to Erlong. It's still that attack speed style. Not going to get that taunt presence like he had before, but he's still going to be a warrior in the jungle. He's going to have warrior scaling. He's going to be building attack speed, and he's going to be pretty hard to stop. Bologna's been regarded as the warrior that just cannot be stopped. No matter what you do, she will still run you down. She still has tools in her kit to keep sticking to you. So it's going to be a team effort to keep Barry from doing the same thing he did in game one already. And if it's small face on Surtur, Surtur hasn't really been seen a lot, but when we do see him, it's the same thing. High damage output, really hard to put down. He's got some pretty good sustain. I'm loving the dive from Cyberpunk Otters more than anything. And since I'm on the same foot as you about being very unsure about this Nike pick, simply because I haven't seen Thoughtful play a warrior either, I just think Cyberpunk Otter just kind of capped themselves up to a 2-0 victory here.
Yeah, and we see Orion going to put his three, get some vision on the other team's purple buff. Takes a little bit of poke from Jacob, padding those damage numbers just a tad. Early game, big 141 damage going to affect the game later on. But speaking of building, we see mannequins come out on the Bologna and Certainly something, not one of your normal jungle starters that you really see on these warriors. You kind of see the protector a little bit more. What are your thoughts on that mannequins for Bologna?
I think the big thing is that a while back they did make a change to where the mannequin scepter at least gives you the sustain no matter if the dots on the jungle minions are not anymore. So that's a big plus. It allows these attack speed style characters to make use of that item more so than they did in the past. I don't hate Protector of the Jungle, and but I also don't think it's 100% necessary, especially with the type of build that we were seeing from Barry Topping's last game. So for him to go back to this item and continue to use it on these attack speed warriors who already have their own scaling, it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's perfectly fine with what Barry Toppings wants to do, which is just kill somebody.
Yeah, and if I'm Ao Kwong, I'm Owl. I'm looking to punish this Danza pick just for its lack of mobility. It might
Mm-hmm.
be Jacob's main, but he's still not the safest god in comparison to the Heimdall. You pop a three, you get out of there. If Pax plays the Heimdall correctly, um, I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure from Odin's duo lane once again. Or well, we expected that in game one, didn't really happen. But I think this will definitely be a lane to watch. I know Pax loves his aggression on in that ADC. Oh, just as a support. So I
Mm-hmm.
know he loves it as an ADC as well. Is there anybody other than the main suspects, Barry, Small Phase, those people that you're looking for to see something out of, like interesting picks, anything like that you think could change the way this game goes down?
We definitely didn't talk about the Chang'e pick here for Busta Kappa, which is a very strong pick, as Bologna barely gets out alive there. But yeah, this Chang'e pick is going to change a lot for uh, Cyberpunk Otters. It's going to have that high CC duration ultimate off of the Chang'e ult. I don't actually remember what that's called. The sustain also coming from this Chang'e, but the problem is it's not your long range mage. It's not the artillery style. I would. This is a game where I definitely want to see him go that Sphinx's bobble. Make yourself as difficult as possible to put down. Have that ultimate up constantly. It's going to pay off big time. But the fact of the matter is, can they make it work in a team fight? Will he be able to be the difference maker in this game?
Yeah, we see a lot of poke coming out early on to Barry Toppings, hitting that Bologna a lot as the first fight over this shield buff is going down. Lots of fighting in this duo lane already. We see almost 2k damage already for Orion Pax on the Heimdall. And so far, quiet in the solo lane. Thoughtful's done a good job of keeping an early first blood out of the hands of Smallface. But, it is Nike, safe pick for a reason. A pick that it is hard to die on.
Yeah.
Just good things out from Thoughtful so far, and Odin's Headhunters are looking good. That mid pressure is good, and lots of fighting going down in this duo lane.
Yeah, you definitely like to see Thoughtful not being pressured out as much in this lane against Small Face. I mean, we've already talked about it. He was voted top solo in Walker. Thoughtful's already got a matchup on his hands just playing into this player, but then you have to worry about the Surtur pick as well. And I think putting him on the Nike was a really good decision as a whole. If it was his decision or Odin's Headhunters' decision as a team, I think they made the right decision, keeping him on something that just doesn't die and won't get out pressured like he got on the Kuzenbo last game. So that's a good decision on their part. I really hope it pays off for them because I would hate to see this game go down in a 2-0.
Yeah, and that's what most people were expecting, that 2-0, but Odin's Headhunters looking to prove people wrong in this game 2 of the playoff set versus Cyberpunk. I think that a pick they can look at is that Kepri. Kepri, not the most mobile, escapable god. If you can
Mm-hmm.
force the Kepri to use that ult on himself, then I think that that's a big way that Odin's Headhunters will be able to do something. You've got the Kuzenbo push, you've got the Nike jump, the Agni bombs, Heimdall ultimate, even just to solo Titus out, make him fix his positioning in those team fights, or just punish him over and over for it.
Well, one thing that Cyberpunk Otters have to really think about, and another thing that Odin's Headhunters can absolutely capitalize on, is the lack of mobility on the Cyberpunk Otters draft. If you're looking at their composition right now, Chang'e has that immunity but no mobility. Bologna has an ultimate for most of her mobility. Good job getting out of there. Angelic Owl, unfortunately, Tech doesn't do the same. Very low health, very, very close exchange on them. But the main thing I'm getting at is that Odin's Headhunters comp is far more mobile in many degrees, aside from their ADC being the most immobile, and that's still a pretty decent teleport in the kit. If Cyberpunk Otters start off an engagement using too many tools at the beginning, which they're likely going to have to do in order to win most of their team fights, Odin's Headhunters could disengage fairly easily and then re-engage once those cooldowns come. The cooldowns on their base abilities come back.
Yeah, we see Tech fall early, and something I'm gonna want to see out of him is that Divine Ruin coming in early. They need
Mm-hmm.
as much anti heal as they can get because Danza 2 heals. Changa has the heals in her kit. Surtur heals. It's they definitely need to
Mm-hmm.
get some anti heal going, and that's the reason that he lost that 1v1 in mid was he he put Busta on 1 health, and then Busta would just heal himself, and then he ulted in, ended up grabbing the kill. First blood going to Busta Kappa. 5 minutes in, once again, kind of like you said after game one. Slow game so far. For what we normally see. We normally see a pretty early first blood, and not really as much potential this game, but still a lot of early pressure. You got Surtur in solo lane, you got Heimdall Kuzenbo in the duo lane. Lots of pressure possibilities that can be seen, and we see another 5 minute first blood.
Yeah, and I mean it took a little while to get out. I mean, but it was a solo kill, even more exchange for the Chang'e, if anything. But like you were saying, it's a much more slower game from Odin's Headhunters. But that's what they were doing last game, but on a composition that didn't necessarily want to take their time like that. Heimdall in a spot of trouble here.
Yeah, forced to use the ultimate away. Danza hops in the rocket to chase him down, diving under the tower, but Orion Pax manages to barely get away, manages to escape, and that is going to be Danza ult down. Good grab by Titus, looking to punish
Mm-hmm.
Pax for being out and having his 3 on cooldown. Um, that's kind of what you see is if you get one grab on this Heimdall, or if he uses his 3 and it's down, this Danza can definitely punish that, and he's not really going to be able to do much in that matchup in the case of his 3 being down, so you kind of have to keep it up with that short range teleports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a cooldown he's got to keep up with. What I do like though is Orion Pack showing some
Oh,
amazing
Pax,
discipline. Oh no,
no!
well that's
Pax,
on cooldown for a while.
yeah, you don't use it to get back to lane, buddy.
But
That's sad.
either way, good discipline on Pax's part, not using the beads after that gank. And like I was saying before, this is how Odin's Headhunters want to play this game this time. Last game, not so much, but they're playing that way in the last game. This game, they are slowing it down, which is good. They want to slow it down because they do have a late game edge in this game. There's some late game players on the Cyberpunk Otters, but they're not the late game players that you're typically expecting. Kepri is a late game god for sure, but he's one of the only ones that scales really hard compared to the rest of his team. Meanwhile, Odin's Headhunters, every character on their draft gets stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah, and I think that the instructions after game one were very clear to Thoughtful. Anytime Smallface is in lane, he's sitting under his T1. I think he's definitely decided that he does not want to fight. As Busta Kappa picks up the kill on Owl, the pluck from Titus pulls Jolly under the T1 tower, manages to grab a double kill in mid. One going to Busta Kappa, the other going to Titus the Reaper and Kepri, and Heimdall ult is down, sent Danza to another universe, and looking like he wants to get this solo kill onto Jacob. On the run is the Danza Burrow, but I'm backs off, not looking to push the aggression, just looking to get some good poke onto Jacob, and it's kind of what we saw. We see the mannequins come out of the Heimdall, and that's going to bring some early pressure. 3 comes out, the ultimate from Jacob, and he's trying to TP back.
Oh,
He go all the way back to base. He
I
went
guess
all the
you
way
don't have
back
to
to
back.
base. Yeah, I guess so. Manages to get out of that barely. Ultimate expended. The
There
Danza
it is.
Burrow, he had the gank coming in. The beads also used for the Heimdall to get out of that sticky situation. But good gank coming out of Titus. Already made some plays happen on this Kepri. And we see the first Gold Fury going for CyberPunk Otters at 9 minutes.
It's going to be a close one, too. Cyberpunk will be able to secure it, though. Kuzumba may fall if he's not able to get out. Does have the dash, and Cyberpunk Otters going to let them go. And it's another just very good map play from Cyberpunk Otters to start the game off. 8 minutes, 9-minute Gold Fury, wherever you want to put the timer at. So smart on their part, puts them at a 3K lead pre 10 minutes. That's pretty good feeling if you're Cyberpunk Otters, and keeps them in control of the game. It's up to Odin's Headhunters to just make sure that it doesn't get any further than that. That's an interesting second item from the Heimdall, but maybe not the worst second item. It may help him in the long run. Diving a Chonga.
Awful making the rotation in from solo lane, manages to pick up the kill on the Busted Kappa, and they want more. They're looking for Titus the Reaper. There are 3 people under this tower. Owl was taking it, falls to Titus, gets his second. Thoughtful picks up a double kill, grabs Titus the Reaper, and here comes Barry Toppings, picks up the kill onto Tech. Surtur dropping out of the air. Nike jumps away. They are looking to get the return kill onto I'm So Thoughtful. They were not okay with that tower dive, and I can't believe Owl falls to the tower. Thoughtful still fighting for his life, trying to stay alive, gonna fall to Small Face. I'm So Thoughtful falls to the rotation on the Surtur. It was a good rotation. They overstayed a bit as the Donzatar grabs Heimdall. The ultimate comes out from Orion. You can pick up this kill if you just fight, and he manages to grab the solo kill onto Jacob Frost. Orion with his first kill of the game manages 2 solo kill, and that is a crazy turn of events that came out from both sides.
Yeah, if you're Odin's Headhunters there, you're very thankful that Orion makes something happen on the other side of the map after that unfortunate engagement for Cyberpunk Otters. As you said, Barry Busta Kappa gets jumped on, dies pretty quickly with the help of I'm So Thoughtful, 2 and 1. But unfortunately, Angelic Owl can't get the kill, the execute no less, onto Titus the Reaper fast enough, dies to tower as he's casting that ability, so puts it on cooldown and doesn't get the kill. That's pretty rough. But in the end, Cyberpunk Otters do come out on top. It's 3-2 in the kill column. But at least Orion Pax finds that solo kill. That's what you're really happy about. Like, hey man, you at least balance it out a little bit. That's a good thing to be. That's something to be thankful for.
Yeah, and I will say the one difference from game 1 to now is look at that duo lane. Headhunters have a lead. And in that first game, I think Tech was down 3 to 4 levels at one point. So moving him into mid, where now he's even with the Chang'e after that rotation from the solo lane, pretty good. And the gold lead was starting to get a little bit further up there, back down to 2,500. Still sizable, but it was a 35 to 4,000 a minute ago before that big fight. But going pretty good. Oh, I'm tripping. Never mind. I'm wrong. But fight over this beacon as we see the gank come out from the Alquang looking for this Danza Burrow. The 2 from Heimdall is good. Looks like they are going to manage to pick up the second kill onto Jacob Frost, while Cyberpunk Otters are looking for this beacon, managing to get it almost completely capped. And Surtur's up in the air coming in. That is going to fully cap it for them. The Alquang is here looking for this rotation in. Lay in coming from I'm So Thoughtful. Smallface picks up Tectonics on the backside, and looks like there is a chase. The Kepri ult is down. They're looking for something, for anything. Heimdall is here now, and maybe I chalk CPO getting this beacon up too early, but Surtur is low. Smallface is looking like he might fall. Thoughtful picks him up, and that's going to be a 3rd kill for I'm So Thoughtful on this Nike. OHH fights back, manages to grab this beacon for themselves when I thought it was all Cyberpunk all day.
Nah, this was a very good engagement from Odin's Headhunters and saved the beacon from disaster as well, keeping CPO down. And look at the gold. It didn't change much, but they're going to be able to make that opportunity happen. They can go for this Gold Fury as long as they wait for their carries. There's potential here. Smallface going down is a big part of that as well. Gold column swings to 1,200. Al Kwong shows up for the DPS on the Oni Fury. Only Kepri making his way over here. There's a good chance Odin's Headhunters clean this one up and bring it right back to neutral.
At about half, Cyberpunk is on the way. They know that they're there. Are they going to drop it? Are they going to continue? Looks like they're going to continue. There's a low health bar. Jolly Green falls.
Oh,
and Cyberpunk
no.
steals the Oni Fury away from Odin's Headhunters. And now Odin's Headhunters is on the run. That Nike is low. Falls to Busta. Grabs the double kill. Jacob grabs Owl. And whenever it looked so hopeful, everything goes wrong for Odin's Headhunters. Gold lead goes from 1,200 to 3,300 as Cyberpunk take back the advantage, grab Odin's by the hair, and push them back down. Not great for Odin's, maybe taking a little bit long. And that T1 is getting dove. Tech falls, and he just got melted. And it looks like that's going to be a mid T1 with the only alive member. I guess Jolly just came back up, but Orion Pax with the only surviving member of that engagement. And it looks like That might be them going over to Fire Giant, or just gonna wait for Pyro to respawn. And
I think
Ruler feels some type of way about that.
I think they absolutely could pull Fire Giant here. A 14-minute Fire Giant is not out of the conversation with the way that this game's going. They could also just easily secure it. Busta Kappa's got that ult coming up soon, but gonna take the safe play. Pyromancer. I mean, like I said in game one, it's quarterfinals, man. You want to make sure, no matter what team you're playing against, that you will get into the next round. So you got to be a little bit careful, make the smarter decision, make the maybe not smarter necessarily, but maybe the safer decision overall. So while that wasn't the best possible outcome they could have went for, I'm still not hating it.
Pax barely gets that back off before Jacob stopped it. I was gonna say, I was like, you better have your three up to try and get away. As we see the gank coming in, Surtur forced up into the air, and Owl's looking like he wants to chase. Not going to opt to do that. Gonna back off, look more for the totem instead. But Ryan decided to elect to split push down that left lane, grabs the T1 in return for the Pyromancer. Not awful if you're the only one alive for Odin's, but certainly looked good for a second, and now kind of spiraling back towards Cyberpunk Otter's favor as we see a fight brewing in this right jungle around, I guess, the ward spots for Fire Giant, and we see Chaga getting low. Sentinels of Zeus dropped by the Nike, and Kappa trying to get away, falls to I'm So Thoughtful, picks up his fourth of the game, and now it's Smallface versus two, Smallface versus three. There's four there chasing down this Surtur, and Bologna's there to try and peel off. Ultimate comes out looking in return for this Alquang. Barry Toppings trying to pick up his second of the game, and he is getting knocked up. Agni Bomb comes down, and that is a low health bar. Smallface is back in. Khepri ult, Scarab's Blessing comes down on the Smallface. It is down. Barry picks up the kill on the Thoughtful, and there is just a brawl going on in this right jungle. Tectonics with the bomb snipe on the Smallface picks up his first of this game too, and Barry Toppings is looking for something. There are low health bars on the side of Odin's Headhunters, and Barry's looking to punish. As this Alquang is low, Barry picks up the kill onto Angelic Owl, and Tech with a good peel for his support manages to get Jolly out, but a pretty even trade. You trade 2 for 2 because Busta did fall. There's
It
just an all-out brawl in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean it's a fight taken and maybe a good one for Odin's Headhunters, but not really. Actually, it's still a 5K deficit, 4K, excuse me. It was good for XP though, as our spectator points out, and that's very true because the graph does go up on that side. But I think the only reason that goes even is just because Odin's Headhunters just turned that into an extended engagement. And I mean, I see it. Angelic Owl was close to getting that kill, had an opportunity there, but unfortunately, Bede said no. And imagine playing Al Kwong when beads are in the game. Just kidding. That god is still kind of nuts, even without that being a relevancy. But I mean, everything that's going on makes sense.
Oh,
Orion's gonna pick that kill up.
okay.
Yeah,
Jacob,
I mean,
Jacob traded out Tower for his life,
for a T1,
and that's going to
what in
be
the
a
heck?
third kill for Orion Pax on this Heimdall, getting pretty big on this Heimdall. That's not exactly what you want to see if you're Cyberpunk Otters. A big Heimdall's kind of a big deal. As we see Surtur go up into the air, the TP comes over. This is a 4v3, and I don't think that you guys want any part of this. The TP coming out from Heimdall, looking to try and get away, manages to TP back over to his T1, but Cyberpunk's going to pick up the Gold Fury and probably pick up a Tectonics. Live Aegis comes out, still going to fall to Smallface, manages to pick up his third of the game, and a bit ambitious if you are Odin's Headhunters with only 3 people there. And looks like Smallface is not satisfied, looking for the kill onto the support. Does not manage to grab it. Jolly picks it up, but Owl, I don't think you want to run into that. I don't think you want to go into there. And Sentinels of Zeus drop Eagles Rally in response from Barry Toppings, looking for this kill. It's a 4v2, and Owl's winning, takes him up into the air, picks up the kill. The shutdown onto the Bologna, manages to go over to Alquang, picks up his first kill, and Scarab's Blessing was on cooldown. Not managed, or they got executed. Oh, executed through the Scarab's Blessing, and that's why you picked the Alquang into this Khepri. Like Freaky was saying beforehand, these executes are just good into the Khepri. The grab is great from Titus the Reaper. Manages to pick up the Kuzumbo, and Kuzumbo manages to get away. Now I will leave the floor.
No, it just that was I'm more just kind of like, what is the reason for that? I don't know why you would even try to steal. But I mean, Cyberpunk Otters did lose their jungle man, but like the Pyromancer call from Cyberpunk Otters just made it even better. Like, oh, we lost our jungle. Well, look at all the resources they had to burn to get that kill. Let's just go pull the Pyromancer now in return. And it's weird even more so because Odin's Headhunters, yeah, the relic graveyard over there. Only there's still 2 beads up though. Barry Topping still has, or just got his beads back actually. Uh, but I mean, yeah, it's a good play from them. And Odin's Headhunters, trivially, are still the ones trying to put their foot on the gas, even though I feel like they really shouldn't be.
Yeah, I will say though that kill on Barry for going over to Owl was pretty huge. Caught him back up,
Yeah.
both level 17 now, and that XP gap is not really there anymore. They kind of caught up in XP, and Orion is 2 levels up. He's pretty big right now. Still hasn't been able to get that starter, even though he's level 20. But that's like I said, if you're Cyberpunk, that's not what you want to see is a Fed.
Mm-mm.
Heimdall, we see Sentinels of Zeus dropped. I'm So Thoughtful finds himself in a rough place with a 4v1 to jump away, and you're Nike, so you're going to be fine. You'll get away. And we see the rotation from both ADCs on their way in. And am I seeing? We aren't seeing any anti-heal over here, right?
No, we're not. I'm looking through the itemization here for Odin's Headhunters. I don't see any anti-heal at all, and that's kind of a tough scene because Cyberpunk Otters have a lot of sustain in their composition, but it's a fight started by Odin's Headhunters.
Eagles rally forced out of the Bologna of Barry Toppings manages to get him out, but the return damage coming in. Orion picks up Titus, and
Mm,
he misses. Oh, he died before he got up into his ult.
yeah,
Playing
but it
ult
doesn't matter.
expended tech picks up Busta Kappa on the back end, and this might just be a fire giant call because Jacob isn't left, pushing down that wave, and he's just now going
No,
back.
no.
He could have grabbed the Phoenix, but instead Odin's Headhunters are gonna grab Fire Giant.
This is
And
pretty
there's
big.
only Surtur there. It's at about half. Surtur in the air. Smallface looking to make a play in. Not able to find anything. Just backs out and looks like they're going to look for the steal as that Fire Giant isn't getting shredded as fast as we hoped. Agni bombs come in. The stun on
Nice
Agni.
ult.
Cyberpunk Otters steal the Fire Giant. Jacob picks up the kill on the Tectonic. Thoughtful grabs Barry. And now they're just looking for the Donza. Owl picks up Jacob. And it's just the Surtur. Pops his thorns. Smallface is on the retreat in a 3v1. Gonna fall to Angelic. Owl picks up a double kill. And it's stole the Fire Giant, but got it on nobody. And this right T1 is bound to fall. Maybe even the right T2 with only Chang'e and Kepri up. And you have a fed Heimdall on your side of Odin's Headhunters. And freaky,
Yeah,
freaky, this game two's kind of close.
it is pretty close, and that's what we wanted to see. Even with that 4K deficit still in Cyberpunk Otters' favor, they're playing very well. They're making right decisions. They're making better decisions, I should say. But I mean, yeah, you lose that Fire Giant. That's the worst outcome possible in that situation. But I love that they didn't step their foot off the gas there. They knew they were the ones in control, and unfortunately, just didn't get the objective secure. I'm gonna more tip my hat to Smallface on that one. Was able to zone out the enemy mid there. Tech just couldn't get his abilities off to secure that Fire Giant more than anything. But you're still not upset about the outcome. You just pushed down that entire right lane. Um, you can make a play on Gold Fury if you're really wanting to, and they're also going to pull that Pyromancer over there. Cyberpunk Otters are kind of at a point where they have to scramble to slowly climb back into a better position in this game, and I love that Odin's Headhunters are at least capitalizing on that situation.
Yeah, there we go. 2 objectives go over the way of Odin's Headhunters. We see for the first time, and I think this whole set, an XP lead in the favor of Odin's
Mm-hmm.
Headhunters. And that gold difference is getting tighter. It's only down to 3K. Um, I will say, somebody's got to tell Orion to quit using his 3 out of fountain. So somebody's got to let this man know. And also, Jacob, quit getting your last item before your starter, dude. Come on, we know better than that. But I will say, looking good, looking better from Odin's Headhunters. Maybe this lineup change was what they needed as we see Thoughtful just jump into 4 people. He's Nike, so it just works. But
Yeah,
yeah, Warrior Brain, I guess.
it's a good look for sure. I really like Thoughtful on this Warrior pick. It's much better than I think we both were expecting here. We
Heals, but they were pushing 5 strong into that and just kind of chose to back off. Not really any objectives up. I guess no reason to fight, but like you said, good to see. Odin's Headhunters finally look like they've got their footing in this series and looking like they're starting to look good. I don't want to jinx them. I don't want to cast or
Right.
curse them, but they are looking good, and we see Mid's caught back up. Owl has
Yeah,
the lead on Barry now.
mm, yeah,
We're looking good on Odin's Headhunters XP wise. They've got about a 3K XP lead, and we see three of them pushing down mid. The Heimdall on right, Ao Kwang on right, and Tech just pumping out damage on this Agni. One of the picks that you even said getting it at third pick's kind of criminal.
yeah, absolutely. And as we're looking at the rest of the game going on right now, love this 2-3 split. Maybe a potential to get something here, but they're going to respect the Surtur and the Donzaburo. Love that decision from them. Just keep putting pressure on these lanes like you have been. Make them have to clear these waves. You're setting yourself up for a good fire giant potential if you just keep pressuring. Be careful in this situation, though. Good damage from the Donzaburo.
Yeah, and Agni comes in on the back, managing to get some return damage back on him, but Barry Toppings is in there. Surtur going up into the air, but his health bar is low. Is he going to be able to get this kill before he just gets slaughtered? The Pridwin gives him the health. Smallface
Wow.
grabs a double kill on no health. The Pridwin shield just gave it up to him. Heimdall looking to get out, falls to bust a cap of the Dia side, and this set
That's
is looking like it may just be over.
yeah, that's game.
We're just talking about how good they looked, and the fatal mistake leads to Odin's Headhunters
Yeah, I was
potentially. Oh my, no,
priding
they're
them.
fine.
I was priding them on their smart plays and their pressure that they were applying, and they didn't get out of that jungle fast enough, and a sudden ultimate and a few relics down, and this game's over. Quarterfinals started, and game one of it's
Quarterfinals ended.
over. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
not
well,
it's not over yet, but this one is.
there goes Odin's Headhunters, sent home by the number one seed CyberPunk Otters. The result we all, a majority of people expected. Everyone did not want to happen in 2-0 fashion. Dominant game one from Cyberpunk. Looked a little shaky in that game too, I won't lie. Moving forward, OHH's season is over. Looking forward for Cyberpunk, what are some things that you think they could work on?
Man, that's a very short list, and you know they're in a situation right now where, as you've put it, I don't think the Cyberpunk Otters have played against Odin's Headhunters, so that was one thing that I think Odin's Headhunters had an advantage in here. And there's not really anything that I can point out that they need to work on. That game looked very good from them. There were some, I'm not going to say some mistakes on their part so much as just signs of life on the side of Odin's Headhunters. And even though that their season has ended, I think they can walk away from this game saying, "Man, we played a good game against Cyberpunk Otters. We brought it to them as best as we could, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. If anything, whoever's watching this game needs to be their potential next set rivals, which could be either the Killer Kappas or Bodega Hive. And I mean, they play Bodega Hive at least, but they haven't played the Killer Kappas. I kind of hope they do a little bit of research because it seemed like they did so in this game. But as far as you asking that question, I'm going to stick to my answer. There's just nothing they need to work on. These guys are looking phenomenal.
Yeah, and if you're OHH, you came in as a seventh seed trying to take down the top dogs, tried out some new stuff. Game one got punished for it. Game two looked good. And those are definitely things that these players can work on moving forward, new roles and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be your first set of the Walkers Playoffs quarterfinals. All done. Cyberpunk Otters with the 2-0 sweep over the seventh seeded Odin's Headhunters. And that's going to be all for the cast. I've been T Pity One on your chair
Mm-hmm.
one. We had Freaky G on chair two and Ruler of Men on the spectate. And that's going to be all. So make sure you guys tune in next time.